BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello, and indeed ahoy hoy, welcome. It's episode 458 of BRB UK. I am Dan, I am one of your hosts, and I am enjoying nestling in your auditory canal once again. And another man who enjoys nestling in canals, but sat in a shopping trolley on the verge, eating a packet of crisps. It's Tim Hibbs. Hello.
I'll get a reputation, Dan.
It's all right. I just thought I'd try and paint a word picture, mate, for those of you who are tuning in to the audio version and who haven't yet been enticed by the video evidence of what I might have in my desk drawer this week, which seems to be an increasing thing, apparently.
But, yeah, no Coleman.
Who knows? I may find something in my desk drawer. You never know. I might.
No Coleman this week, as he's off this week. But
Indeed.
You noticed whenever he's off, we don't get left with control of the soundboard. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I know.
No soundboard without Coleman.
Well, only because I think he... Well, only because he knows I go Control A, delete all of the things. Yeah, I reckon Coleman, the reason why he doesn't appear on the show sometimes is to get clean audio recordings of us two, so he can just replace us with a soundboard, thereby making him king of the podcasting universe. That's what I reckon.
Yep.
That is a completely reasonable set of conclusions, I think you'll find.
He is the audio master. We are the audio slaves.
Yes, I am. I do like the beatings, though. The beatings are great. I love those. Really keep me motivated, you know? Keep me honest. Thanks, Coleman. Thank you, autocratic Coleman. You're the best. Anyway, there have been a couple of things happening, as is the want of Sony. They decided... I was just going to say... I know, I was going to say they did record their PlayStation showcase just to spite us straight after last week's show, so we're going to be touching briefly on that. But not before... Tim, you played a game.
Yes, indeed. And I played a game that has just come out. It's just hit Game Pass and other platforms as well.
Aren't you a fancy lad?
Yeah, but I got a chance to play a bit early. And yeah, this is one where I'll be interested to hear other people's opinions on this game as well. Let's put it that way from the start. But Skatebird is the game that I've been playing. And it's a game that...
I have a question.
Yes?
Are you a bird on a skateboard?
Yes.
Next question.
Right.
Why aren't you just flying?
I mean, you can flap your wings a little bit to help you land a bit better sometimes, kind of thing.
Right.
And you can flap your wings and do a little ollie.
Right, okay.
There's one, but just to set the scene just quickly before we dive in any deeper. Coleman and I saw this game at EGX a couple of years ago.
Right.
So it was going back pre-pandemic. And we saw the game in an early form. And I really liked the premise. And it got a lot of buzz at EGX in general. A lot of people saying you should go and play it and blah, blah. And I liked what I saw then. But I was like, okay, I'll reserve full judgment until I see the final package and see like what edges they kind of sharpen up and exactly, you know, how the final game comes out. And yeah, this isn't at least the version I played, and I'm not sure if there will be a slight difference on the day of release, because there is sometimes. But the version I played doesn't seem to be entirely highly, like, massively polished over what I saw. I think there was probably just more environments added and other things done.
Right.
Other than that, yeah, you are a bird on a skateboard, skateboarding. It kind of reminds me very much, and probably very deliberately, of an old school Tony Hawk game where you're going around in an environment and doing things to unlock other parts of the environment a little bit as well. But generally going around and doing a mission where you have to get a certain number of points, which tend to be on the easier side. And yeah, and then just other variety of missions where you're generally doing a variety of getting to and from places in a certain amount of time.
Why don't you just fly?
Grinding certain high wires and stuff like that. I wish you could fly at some points in time. But yeah, like, I have a real kind of tug of war, love hate relationship type thing with this game, like all week back and forth playing it. And
Right.
there's elements I really like, and I quite like it when it's at its best, and you're just like quite chilled. Your music's quite chilled, and you're sort of skating around, collecting things, doing little missions. It's good, and I enjoy it. But there seems a real kind of weird spike or difficulty curve in some of the levels, and I'm at a point now where on the second level, the second environment basically is on a rooftop rather than the first one's in a bedroom, basically.
Okay.
And you're skating around the bedroom initially, and then you kind of open up, and there's a story reason you're on a rooftop near the person's work of the person's bedroom.
Whoa. There's
that
a
you refer
story
to as
reason.
the big guy. Yeah, there's a kind of story about I think they refer to him as the big guy or something of that kind of ilk, basically, or big friend, I think it is, or something. But they're referring to the human that owns the room that isn't there, that you're possibly a pet of, or just generally inhabit their room when they're at work, basically. But you refer to them as a friend. But then, the rooftop is near their work or something. Anyway. There's a story to it somewhere, but anyway.
How did you get to the rooftop if you don't fly?
You've got friends. Well, you do kind of fly, as I said, but
right.
Yeah, it's odd. Like, if you fall off the rooftop, you get rescued by a seagull, but they don't really show that. But anyway, yeah, it's all a bit weird.
What?
I don't know. I don't entirely know, Dan. You can also
this
be
seems like an interactive cheese dream. What is going on?
You can be a variety of birds. Like
that's all right then.
Well, yeah. There's I think I spent a good time as an eagle with a fez and a bow tie that I'm sure you'd appreciate, Dan.
Can I be a chaffinch?
I'm not sure there was a chaffinch. There is quite a variety of birds. Some parakeets, a galah. I spent a time as a galah.
Oh, you spent time as a galah,
bloody
mate.
galah.
A bloody galah. Right, can I be a robin? Can I be a robin? There we go. Common garden bird for you. No?
Yes, I believe so. Oh, no.
Can I be a kite?
I don't think I remember the robin. There was a big red kind of breasted, but anyway, they're all kind of the same shape, but just different colours almost kind of thing. But then different feathers and things as well.
Blue tipped.
But it doesn't seem to make too much difference as to what bird you are or what skateboard you are as to the physics of what's going on. And
what skateboard you are.
That's one thing that I thought from the initial game that they didn't solve going into this game. From the initial game, I was like, okay, I like it, but I don't see how they're going to solve the fact that the animation as a bird, if you want to do a kickflip, you need to be stood side on, and birds don't do what we can do quite as well, I don't think, in terms of turning that way. Anyway, but yeah, like,
can I be a horned
there's no
screamer?
animation. There's no animation for him like skating along, which I find odd. Basically,
I have another question.
Yeah,
can I be a fluffy back tip babbler?
I guess he can. That's where he can do his.
Can I be a fluffy back tip babbler? Can I be a fluffy back tip babbler, Tim?
If you're going to go through a list of funny named birds for the rest of
pretty much, that's how I was going to make my way through this section.
then it's going to be.
Can I be a rough-faced shag?
Oh, you can be anything you like.
Okay, a spangled drongo.
No, not as far as I'm aware in the game. Didn't see it.
That is quite upsetting.
But there is, as I said, quite a variety of birds.
All right.
But, yes, as I said, at its best, when you're cruising around doing like little missions and doing things to get points
what kind of missions do you have to do as a bird?
Fine. Well, some of them are trickier than others. Like, as I said, just getting points and stuff, those levels are a bit too easy and a bit less plentiful than I'd like. I'd like there to be more levels where you're just getting points or just finding an area to get points from. I think that's a bit more fun in the game, whereas some of the stuff where you've got to traverse a particular path in a very tight time frame, I don't understand why the time frames are as tight and some of those are as difficult as they are. And you get to a point that I got to in the first level but managed to break through, but haven't managed to break through in the second level, where you just get a bit stuck on some of the levels and then you can't progress because you can't open up any of the other levels.
Oh, I have a question.
So, yeah, it gets a bit tricky. Yes?
I have a question. Why are you doing these monotonous tasks? What is your motivation as a bird who can't really fly very well and can't skateboard very well.
I mean, generally.
This isn't like a metaphysical
kind of
question.
A silent protagonist, I think, generally.
Right.
But
Okay.
I would say that, you're just there to skate, man. That's just generally the vibe. That's all, you just want to find
Can I just congratulate you
skate.
Can I just congratulate you on sounding peak middle-aged
Yes,
there,
exactly.
Tim? Well done.
And but generally, I think, I'd enjoy it a lot more if it was not necessarily a bit easier, but just there were more opportunities of different levels opening up or different variety of tasks available at one time so that you could keep on progressing, basically. Because I've got to the point where there's just 3 levels. One of them I keep on thinking I can do, but I've really struggled many, many, many times to not do. And 2 of them I'm just like, I don't think I can even begin to possibly do those. So, and that may be a limit of my gaming ability, but I would say this is a harder game than I was expecting for its cute, cute visuals and style. It's much. I didn't play as much of the Skate series, which was much, a lot of people really liked, but I didn't really play much of that type of stuff, which was a bit more sim kind of heavy. And I think this probably goes more in that direction, so it might be quite popular with that sort of people. But I didn't play as much of those sort of games, basically.
So, I have only seen trailers. I haven't played this game. Mea culpa. I mean, I did look, I don't know, decidedly a tad janky. And I think what really stuck out sore thumb for me is because what you're trying to do quite a bit in a skating game, I'd imagine, is trying to judge using the power of sight where kind of what the centre of gravity of your skater is. With the birds, it just looked a little bit like kind of how they were moving about and tilting around in the environment. Didn't look like quite what you would expect, and I was just wondering, is that quite jarring? Does it kind of have that
everything's a
distance to the
little
control?
floaty, is how I would describe it, and the
So I should
physics
fly, mate.
feels a little bit, but that may be because you're a small bird on a skateboard. I'm not sure if that is a deliberate choice, but to me it feels just a little bit off. Like I don't dislike it, and there's times where I've really enjoyed the game, and as I said, it's at its best when you're just cruising around doing a few different things. The first level I found hard and managed to overcome and get through, like the challenges. I think it was
well done.
One level that I hadn't done. One challenge type thing that I hadn't done in the first level. But then I moved on to the second one and kind of got stuck into that. But I enjoyed the bits of this game that I've enjoyed. It's just it stopped me from enjoying it as much as I think it could if it was structured in a slightly different way. But even then, I still got slight misgivings about it, but it's the type of game that I could still see myself playing hours. Like, even though I'm stuck on this game, I could still see me playing more of it and trying to bust through that and get through to the other side of it. And even if I don't, like, just cruising around and enjoying stuff has been good. But I kind of hope it gets a patch and gets a little bit easier for everyone else. There's lots of different options you can change and put controls and stuff like that on and stuff like that. But as much as I said it feels a bit like old school Tony Hawk's as well, this has got a couple of the features that when the Tony Hawk games got these features added, it made me less interested in the Tony Hawk games. And that's the kind of when you got like manuals and like other tricks that you can do to link tricks together. So you're not just doing one trick, you're trying to link another one and doing massive combos. And it ends up to the point where, you're always trying to do those massive combos and you're always trying to link everything together rather than just like trying to get one big trick in one big place kind of thing. Anyway, like I just preferred the slightly even more old school approach of the original Tony Hawk's than the control method in this as well. But
so that's Skatebird, and you played that on what, Xbox?
I've been playing
Series
on
S?
Xbox Series S, and that is out generally this week on Game Pass. So everyone else give it a try. See if you're of the same opinion as me. I think it's a reasonably hard skateboarding game for the presentation of what it is, but I've enjoyed it, and I'd still be interested to see what other people think as well, basically.
And as far as I can tell, it's also available on Steam, Nintendo Switch, and are you ready for a random platform shout out? Amazon Luna game streaming services.
Also, as much as I've enjoyed it on Xbox, and if it's on Game Pass, it makes it easier to try for everyone. Not a bad fit for the Switch, possibly as well, just in terms of portability and good pick up and play, and
And it's also on itch.io as well.
Okie dokie.
So all of those things, all of those places,
those things, and available now. When you're hearing this,
now. If you look at your watch and it says the time is now, and now is the time. If that sounds like if being some kind of ornithological skateboarding mad person sounds like your kind of thing.
I mean, technically, by the time you listen to this, it's yesterday. But
all right. Jesus, flipping Doctor Strange over there with his knowledge of the space-time continuum. Ugh. Anyway. I have played and dabbled in one or two little things, but in the interest of time, because we do have some other stuff to get to, I'm probably going to talk about that next week. But one of them will include Deathloop, because I picked that up on a bit of a whim this morning after seeing
look at you,
all
women.
of them. I know. After seeing some rather splendid reviews of it, actually, I was worried it was going to be style over substance, but it looks like kind of the jury's in on, like, actually this is worth a bit of your time. So I've picked up on PC. It is installed. I can only review the install procedure. It was an install procedure.
As long as the install procedure didn't go into a loop, because that's not where you want your loops in your death loops.
Really? You're better than that, Tim. Come on. You're better than that.
Well,
You're better than that. You are better than that. You are. Anyway.
So
we'll talk about that next week. And a bit of Breath Edge I'll also talk about next week.
Breath Edge?
Breath Edge. Breath Edge.
Breathage.
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 Breathage. Yes, that's how we shall henceforth refer to it. Anyway, the elephant in the room that we really should talk about as part of the news, because it's time for the news. There is an elephant in the room. You should
have told me sooner, Dan.
The PlayStation Showcase 2021, which, as we've already waxed lyrical about, landed just as we were hanging up our mics and earphones last week. So you can go and watch it. A lot of people have talked about it. So we're going to kind of give you our edited thoughts.
We're not going to go through the whole thing because people have done that. Better people have done that better already. So, yeah.
Yes. For me, kind of in a general kind of note.
Yeah, let's go general to start with.
General kind of. I was amazed how much I saw the ampersand PC. So, and PC. There's a lot of stuff from PlayStation Studios coming to PC. I mean, not all of it is like stuff that's here and now. But I was very surprised to see the Legacy of Thieves collection make its way to a PC. And I'm quite excited by that. I mean, it's your standard bunch of remasters. They didn't really go into many details on what's being redone. I'm guessing more textures and a bit of and a sprinkling of ray tracing just to keep you happy. But yeah, I mean, they're great games, and if you've never played them before, go pick them up.
I still need to go finish Lost Legacy at some point, but
yeah, it's a good game. Good game. But anyway, so it was exciting to see.
Only Uncharted I've never finished, but anyway.
And also, and this wasn't really talked about in the PlayStation Showcase, but as a kind of an add-on bit of news, it looked like there was a leak from NVIDIA's streaming service, so GeForce Now, which listed a couple of upcoming PC games, and among those was God of War. On PC, which would excite me greatly, because then I could play it on something that isn't going to take off, but will probably cook me from the outside in, because whenever my PC's on, it turns my room into a sauna. So yeah, but no, really pleased to see all the PC stuff. But one thing that isn't coming to PC, and dear God makes me terribly excited and might make me go and brave the streets of Slough to pick up a PS5 finally, is Gran Turismo 7. It looks good.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, what's really interesting is that Microsoft really haven't said anything about what the next non-Horizon Forza is going to be. So like the Forza Motorsport rather than Forza Horizon. But it looks like Sony have finally got it into, or Polyphony have finally got it into their heads that car customization is such a major thing about what makes Forza so cool. And it looks like there's a full-on car livery editor now where you can make your car exactly how you want it to be. It looks phenomenal. I mean, there's clearly a lot of ray tracing goodness going on. If the footage is led to be believed, looks like they're targeting 60 frames a second. I'd imagine that's either going to be 1080 or 1440p. But, man, it looks corking. And they've even moved away from ridiculous menus. You can even like kind of navigate a little world.
It's a little world.
3D world. Little 3D world. Look at that.
You know what it reminded me of? You know those little maps you get when you get to like Alton Towers and stuff and like theme parks? A little one of those.
Yes. Oh, one of those with little pop-up bits. But I mean, it looks. I mean, look. I think one thing to say that's kind of, I think, a fair judgment of this particular showcase. It was all about the eye candy. It was decidedly short on, for the most part, details.
Yes.
But I mean, obviously, they showed a bit of a sizzle reel of Gran Turismo with the livery editor. Tim was excited because menus were in that sizzle reel. Quite looks like there's quite a large collection of tracks. Surprise, surprise. And, you know, there is multiplayer there as well. But in terms of what the nuts and bolts of it are going to be like, how much of a refresh to the slightly tired Gran Turismo Formula is going to be, I don't yet know.
Tired,
yes, very good, Tim.
What I want to know, though, Dan, is how much VR is going to be in there.
Well,
it's going to be all
now that
on
is
the VR.
the thing.
That'll be good.
And I think that, I know, coming back to the pachyderm in the corner of the room, that I think was notable by its omission. They
did say that they weren't.
They did say they weren't going to, but
I wasn't disappointed.
Still, I mean, it's good expectation setting by them.
Yeah.
But I'm still surprised they didn't share anything about it.
I think overall this show exceeded my expectations. Like there were games I was expecting to get a bit more of an update on here. Kenner that's out this week, and maybe Deathloop itself, because that's out as well. So I expected them to push both of those in this, and they didn't really even mention them, basically, which I thought
Deathloop got.
Oh, sorry, no, Deathloop did have a little trailer as well, didn't it? Yeah, but yeah, like no like major surprise and stuff. But like yeah, sorry, what I was going to say, there were some nice surprises in there sprinkled throughout. Like it was good that we got Gran Turismo. I was going to say that the only problem with that was that we didn't get a release date, but then they did give a release date in the little after show afterwards as well.
We have all been around the block enough times to know that the release date they've stated of 4th of March 2022 is never going to happen. Calling it now, it's going to be holiday 2022.
Yeah, if you're being giving them giving them leeway and saying that they probably were being honest, then maybe the date came in too late for the trailer. If you're being a bit disingenuous, possibly, then you might go, well, they weren't confident enough in the date to put it on the trailer. Depends which way you go. We don't really know. But yeah,
tell me when you can recall a Gran Turismo game coming out on the day it was meant to.
Well, they kind of hinted at it coming out at launch, although they never specifically stated that it would.
And how did that work out for them? Let me ask you.
We all bet it wouldn't then. I'm willing to bet that, if they've actually put a date on it and they've actually got a schedule for next year now, I think this is actually going to hit that date now. I'll be surprised if it gets delayed again.
I bet you a curly whirly. Yeah, because we're talking big stakes here,
I know
mate.
it's Gran Turismo,
I'll bet you a curly whirly.
I just I can't see them delaying it again.
So, what did you like the look of them?
I think that one of the nicest surprises was not the nicest surprise that we got some detail on, at least, was Forspoken, basically.
Yep.
And saying spring 2022, so it's not too far away. It's very kind of flashy visuals with a kind of phasing in and out kind of animation going on that looked like it's one of those, could they have done that on last gen kind of things that make you go, is this a next generation game that's going to show off? That and the water physics that they showed off as well kind of thing.
And the fur on that cat.
Oh, the fur on the cat.
The fur on the cat. That's what happened. I was like, I'm there. I was like, I'm buying that. That's reason number 2 for me to buy a PS5.
And yeah, like, that was a nice surprise. I believe, and I'm not sure how much involvement they had, but Gary Whitta is credited with doing some writing, as is Amy Hennig. But I did say Amy kind of framed that into a kind of, I had some creative consultancy early on, I think it was, kind of thing. But yeah, anyway, I'm definitely intrigued and to see what's going on with that game. It looked like an interesting one to play through. Yeah, mechanically and visually looked like it was going to be a little bit different.
I mean, it's basically, long and short of it is she's got a crazy bangle that gives her powers.
Mm-hmm. Crazy talking bangle.
But I think one of the interesting things it hinted at was the way in which you're going to be able to combine powers, like kind of shooting people up in the air on like kind of a massive, almost geyser of water, and then freezing that and then shattering that. A geyser, a massive geyser,
massive geyser of water,
massive geyser. What, sunshine? What geese? So anyway, you two can smite your enemies using a massive geyser.
Massive geyser.
Trevor. What, Trev? What, mate? Wee. Let's. Anyway. Yeah, but I agree. I mean, it's clearly a highly curated lot of footage they showed. But it was almost kind of like, I don't know, I got kind of a vibe of a lot of games in this. I got a bit of a Horizon Zero Dawn vibe, as well as an Assassin's Creed vibe. It seems like it's kind of a bit of a melting pot of a number of things. But it could potentially be a great game. But again, like so much of I think what we've seen in the PlayStation Showcase, it's kind of difficult to know.
Well, that's one I'm definitely interested to keep an eye on. I tell you one thing: the two headline things for me, and the two things that really kind of stood out. Didn't get too much detail on, but the fact that Insomniac are not only working on Spider-Man 2, which we could have guessed, but seems to involve Venom, which is very good.
I know, right?
But they're also working on an adult-rated Wolverine game. So, yeah.
Actually, that is something, just more, this going a bit off topic, but more generally from the Marvel Universe that I've been quite pleased to see is they are leaning into, I mean, obviously people go, well, yeah, Deadpool was years ago, mate. But in terms of kind of slightly more adult themes, adult storylines, and I mean that not in a kind of...
Yeah, the opportunity to do that, basically.
Yeah, rather than... And I don't mean that in a, look at the boobies kind of way. I mean that in a... asking, interesting kind of deep questions, unpicking some of the characters, some of the kind of more profound aspects it's had on them being them. I'm quite excited to see them take it in that direction with the Wolverine game, potentially.
And I think Logan did that as a film as well, so I think it'd be interesting to see a take on that in the video game universe.
Yeah.
And Insomniac, someone that I trust to do that well and make combat good. So yeah, I'm really excited. I don't know about you, when I first saw the trailer pop up, it reminded me from the bar. It very much reminded me of the bar in the Wolverine game made by Raven. I think it was Raven Software.
Oh yes,
and
you're right.
And so instantly I went, oh, Wolverine. Like before we saw Wolverine kind of thing. I was expecting Wolverine because the bar reminded me of the bar in the previous Wolverine game. Yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd mention that.
And that's why we pay him to look at menus, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know if that was deliberate. I don't know if that was something else that anyone else thought of as well. But yeah, that's definitely something I thought of seeing it. And yeah, I think the other major thing that we were going to mention is just the fact that God of War Ragnarok looked
never heard of it.
Awesome, basically.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, it just looks so. It's official. He has now finally killed the out of the entire Greek and Roman mythology. Well, mainly Greek mythology. Or is it? No, it's Roman mythology, isn't it? Yeah, Greek or Roman?
Oh, no, it's Greek originally.
Greek. Yeah, I thought it was Greek. And so now he's moved on to Norse mythology because them suckers need to die.
And and apparently a big fat angry Thor has turned up. A big fat angry.
Look, I'm all for
ginger
fat Thor.
Thor.
Fat
Looks
ginger
mad.
Thor.
Yeah.
But dude, look, I mean, oh god, I mean, A, this game looks incredible.
Yeah.
B, I'm hoping that, I mean, obviously you want it to innovate in some ways, but I hope they don't fix what doesn't need to be fixed.
Well, there was a big argument about them recycling the boat animation. Like, someone complained about that on Twitter, and that became a bit of a conversation. But come on, you don't want them to waste time like redoing that sort of stuff. You want them to be adding other animations and other things, and like, you know, adding things other than boats, or, you know, just something else entirely, rather than redoing something. As you say, if it's not broke, why fix it? Like, there are very many things about that game that you don't want to change. Like, I want the ability to change combat and mix things up a bit, and to modify how things work. They did confirm a few things. One that I think is very good, and one that I think a few people will be dubious about, but I'm fairly hopeful, cross fingers that it's a good thing, sort of thing. But one thing they confirmed that I dislike is the fact that it, the same as the first game, this game will be one continuous shot throughout the whole game, which I thought was a massive technical marvel of the first one. And just from the way they talked about it, it sounded like it was almost an integral part of the game. But I was also worried that it was so hard to do that they might not continue doing it. So I'm glad that that's something they're continuing with, because I think, that really adds something to it. But one thing they did confirm, that the director is changing, and they had a little chat with him and that after show thing afterwards as well. And by the way, I just think overall that whole format of what they did there was really good. Like having the general show, get through the trailers, show us the games, and then if you want to hang around and have a chat with some of the developers afterwards, we've got that done afterwards as well. And I think that format was really good. Like, I hope that went down well generally, and is something they replicate in the future, basically.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's kind of, again, they're only showing so much, but I think there was some interesting hints about the change in dynamic between Kratos and Boy, where kind of Boy is kind of slowly growing up a bit, starting to question his dad, and, you know, how much of that is going to be a kind of, I'd imagine, because one of the strong points of the last God of War game was the way the narrative went. And, you know, I think, you know, kind of, and I think that's one of its real strengths, actually kind of humanizing Kratos in some ways, rather than he's a big muscly dude who stabs things in the neck. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's still a big muscly dude who stabs things in the neck. But, you know, the kind of, the unpicking the character, I thought was such a great strength in the previous game.
Yeah.
And, you know, I hope they're going to do that a bit more here.
Well, you saw signs of, you know, him coming in, having hunted the deer, no longer needing his dad to get food, basically, kind of symbol. Yeah. I can see the relationship between the two of them being a bit more fractious than this one, possibly even going their separate ways at some point. But yeah, like, the other thing I think I didn't mention, they're having a different director. Did I go back and pick that up?
Yeah, you briefly mentioned it, but elaborate, Timothy.
But yeah, they switched directors, and they did say that it very much takes a toll. And I'm sure the original director will have a hand in the game still, and seems to be, you know, staying an active part. But apparently that's the way their studio works. They like to pass on to a different director from game to game. They think that helps breathe new life into the games a little bit, and also means that the person in charge isn't getting completely worn out and wore down by doing that. That seems to be a sensible thing in light of, you know, other gaming practices and other companies we'll be talking about shortly. I think that sounds like a really sensible general way to run things. And yeah, like, I hope it doesn't necessarily impact the game negatively. I hope that, you know, it will hopefully breathe new life into it a little bit, and give another another element to it. Like you say, they've got a very good formula there. They don't need to mess with that too much. A second game carrying on the story, giving extra moments and giving those extra cinematic battles and things. I think, yeah, that's something I'm on board for. So please just make more of that and do it well. And I wish you luck in doing so. But everything they showed at that presentation gave me a lot of faith. And I think everything at this Sony presentation overall, like, landed pretty well, no?
I would beg to differ on 2 counts.
Okay.
Count the first.
Yes.
What the knobs was that Radiohead thing about?
Okay, I have no idea what that was about, but
I mean, it was basically, it's, hey, look, man, it's like an exhibition. It's a multi-sensory experience based around the, I believe, 2006 album, Kid A.
I reckon overall, what I'm saying though, this presentation with a couple of other surprises sprinkled in, Tiny Tina's Wonderland looking okay. Alan Wake Remastered, just having an Alan Wake game on
I know, but
Xbox,
man,
on PS.
They didn't do. I know, it's one of those weird things. Like the first time you saw a Bungie logo appear on a PlayStation, for example.
But it's also like, excuse me, have you remastered that yet, or is that pre-remaster?
No, that's exactly what I thought. I was like, well, what they've done, they've smeared a bit more digital Vaseline on the lens, try and blur over the cracks a bit. But I'm with you, mate. I was like, wow, this is.
Yeah, because
have they done anything yet?
My slight problem with that is, like I liked it the first time, but it did look visually stunning at the time, and I'm not so sure that version will. But anyway, look, I thought overall, just generally, that the overall presentation and the idea of it, as in to sell PlayStation 5s or get PlayStation 5 owners excited about software, I think that did a fairly good job. I actually got more surprises and more release dates than I thought I would, or release windows at least.
My closing comments.
Yes, close your comments.
I shall close my comments.
Always close your comments.
My 2 things that I needed to speak about.
Yeah.
One, the intro bit with that slightly wanky, overdone, hey, aren't we cool and edgy game of chess. That was.
that was a way, like someone in marketing went, let's waste some money on a big game of chess.
Exactly. Sony. Word to the wise, your marketing team don't need as much money as you're giving them at the moment, all right?
I tell you what I did like, the little swirls of like the X and the O and the stuff in between
that
games.
Whole pretend chess game
good.
thing was
just
wank.
Just
it was an utter sack of wank.
Yes, just have a minute of that with game footage at the beginning and just go, like, just... Yeah,
I mean, seriously, that was like 4 minutes of my life. Frankly, I'd like back, Sony, all right?
Okay.
Now, part number 2...
That, yeah.
Okay, but issue number 2 I have, and this is more generally of kind of, I thought as a medium, video games had got past this.
Right. Project
Eve.
Yes.
Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, looks like a very good Bayonetta wannabe.
Yeah.
For want of a better way of putting it. But I really thought we were past the close-up, slow-mo button crotch shots that this opened with. And I was just like, really? Come on.
I mean, it looks like a Korean studio copying Japanese games, and yeah, maybe behind the curve on that one. Maybe that's why we haven't seen another Bayonetta game, because they can't quite work out how to release that and still make it empowering. But anyway,
yeah, I just thought it was a bit. It was like, all right, okay, so we're gonna start with a bit of low grade misogyny, are we? Okay, good, lovely, good. Just setting the tone there, Sony. Jesus.
I mean, we were supposed to gloss over this, Dan, and now there's only 2 games we haven't mentioned, and one of them is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake, and that got me quite excited, even though I've played it again recently, and I will probably buy the remake if they do it, though. I will probably do that.
That's PS5 time console exclusion.
Yes.
It's time console exclusive on PS5, also coming to the PC, and the other one is, bless me, yes, I know.
And Ghostwire Tokyo. That looks all right. I keep on flip-flopping on whether I care about that game or not, though.
But anyway, we've talked about more games than Coleman allowed us to, so we've got to move on.
Let's go.
We need to finish off with a little bit of the news before we disappear.
It's all very corporate this week, though.
It is. So, are you ready?
Yes.
Super cool corporate news incoming. Their Activision Blizzard shenanigans continue. So, employees of Activision Blizzard, under the banner of the ABK Workers Alliance, with the support of the Communication Workers of America Guild, they've got all unioned up, and they filed an unfair labour practice suit, alleging that the company is engaged in union busting and intimidation of workers. The complaint alleges that Activision Blizzard employees cannot discuss wages, hours, or working conditions, maintained an overly broad social media policy, and then engaged in surveillance and enforced its policy against employees who engage in protected concerted activity. I'm not quite sure what's meant by that. I mean, it's really difficult, this. I work for a big corporation. I'm not going to say which one.
BBC.
I work for a big corporate. Yes. Big, bad, something or other.
Big Biscuit Corporation.
Yeah, Big Biscuit Corporation. And
never trust Big Biscuits.
I mean, as a term and condition of my employment, I've got to be very careful if I put something dumb on social media, I could get fired.
Yep.
Even with the opinions of my own, I could still get fired for it, and that's kind of why I don't, quite frankly. It's, we're not told we can't discuss wages, hours of working conditions, but, you kind of, people go, well, why are you socialising that? It's not an absolute rule, but anything I do on my company laptop is monitored. It's as simple as that. Yeah. And they want to make sure that I'm using their resources for work.
I mean, and to be fair, technically my boss is monitoring me at all times.
Yeah, but you are your boss, Tim. I know it's a democracy up there, and in the rattling hollow cerebrum, cerebellum. Cerebrums, yes, I'm going to go with cerebrum today. Okay. That you have there, Tim. But, I mean, I kind of think that they do have a point with some of this. And don't get me wrong, Activision Blizzard, if the rumours are to be believed, have been utter reprehensible dullards here who, frankly, do need a massive slap on the wrist for the policies that they continue to have. And I hope they are going to change. But when you work for a big company, I'm afraid sometimes you do have to accept that they are
the party line sort of thing.
Yeah, that you are towing party line, and that you are using the equipment that they have given you and remains their property for work. Now there are lines. If they're intercepting packets when people are logged onto Gmail or something like that, that is wrong. Okay, that is wrong. I don't know enough about the details here, but there's got to be a little bit of, all right, what is clearly past the pale, and what is a company making sure that the investment it's put in its individuals is actually going to furthering the work of that company. I'm not saying that means they've got the right to say that people should work all hours that God sends. I mean, it's massively important that, and my company's good for this.
I don't know, but
they
I
make sure people separate work and life.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the problem here is them really clamping down on the ability and tools to unionise, basically. And I think
that is wrong.
Yeah, and there is a big kind of anti-push in that in America, and I think it seems like we've already lost that war in the UK, almost, kind of thing. But yeah, like that just seems the fact that video game companies are very anti-union, basically, and there are lots of big industries in America that do everything they can, and big industries and big companies in America that do everything they can to stop people forming unions, and that does seem to be a particular problem in America at the moment, basically.
I mean, I think, again, I think that you don't want a situation where unions and companies occupy two extremes which neither are going to climb down from. I don't think that's necessarily healthy. I think unions are an important key part to ensuring worker rights, but both sides have to compromise at some point.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the stuff here, that the hill to die on here is, tearing down the frat boy culture. Should that have been in place? I mean, again, we can only go on what we've been told by news reports, but there's, no smoke without fire on this one. I have an opinion. I mean, that absolutely should not exist.
Yeah.
Some of the other stuff may be something that has to be compromised upon. Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, this is all becoming very highly politicized. We are hearing a lot of one side of the argument, not so much the other side of the argument. And I'm not saying that gives Activision Blizzard an excuse to be behaving the way they allegedly are behaving. But again, we've just got to bear in mind that if what's said is to be believed, which I think it probably is, there's a lot of stuff that needs to change. Yeah. But there's also some stuff where it may be the case that needs to be dealt with another day, I think.
Yeah, and also, it's not very
I'm not going to make myself popular on the internet by saying that, but hey.
It's also not very clear at the moment exactly where the lines are between, what is Activision Blizzard and what is Blizzard and where the complaints are coming out. I don't know exactly how much of that's been made clear. It seems to be mainly Blizzard, but obviously Activision and Activision Blizzard as a company own a selection of other companies that this possibly is or isn't affecting or is or isn't a factor in as well. So, yeah, who knows exactly what's going to happen. It may be a long time before we actually find everything else that's gone on and is going on, and will be repercussions of what's happening here, basically.
But generally speaking, these sorts of situations can be largely avoided if, and this is advice for both companies and individuals, by asking the following questions. 1, am I being a dick? And if the answer to that question is yes, then stop being a dick. And then question number 2 is, am I taking the... And if you're taking the... That's probably not ideal either, is it? So, a bit of be nice to yourselves, be a good human being, and be good to each other can help these situations a long way.
Yeah. Unfortunately, structure of companies doesn't always allow for that.
Yeah, it doesn't really lend itself to that
anyway,
always.
Yeah.
Hey, I know you were super excited about that bit of corporate news.
Yeah.
Do you want me to hit you up with some more legal wranglings?
Yes, please.
So as we all know, Epic and Apple were having a rather public spat in the courtrooms about Apple not permitting developers, amongst other things, not permitting developers to link to outside payment options. So
this
Epic
result went really badly for both of them, basically.
Yeah. So it's kind of, so the judges ruled in Epic's favour on one point, and issued an injunction in Epic's favour that forces Apple now to permit developers on its platform to link to outside payment options within their apps. But that, and only that, is the only point at which Epic won its case. Now, the court's ruling basically told both of them that they were very disappointed. They thought they were better than that, and frankly, they need to buck their ideas up. So it took issue with both parties' definitions of what they call their relevant markets, saying that the market the two were fighting over was neither Apple's own internal systems, as Epic was alleging, nor all of gaming, as Apple claimed, but rather digital mobile transactions. And given that market, the court declared it cannot ultimately conclude that Apple is a monopolist under either federal or state antitrust laws. So again, it's that whole thing of, right, within its special walled garden, fine. Apple,
I like a walled garden. Looks nice.
Yeah. Apple are in their walled garden, and they are, perhaps not playing as nicely as they could within their walled garden. But if you look at the industry as a whole, laying it all at Apple's feet is probably a little bit of a stretch.
Apple do like a walled garden, though. They really
love
do.
A walled garden.
They like walling enough, keeping it to themselves, keeping it all safe.
But Tim, that being said, the court also stated, however, that Apple's conduct was at its core anti-competitive.
At its core,
Yeah, so at its Apple core. Yeah, see what I did there. So the court hopes that its injunction will increase competition, increase transparency, and, I think that's a good thing. I think a company likes a monopoly But ultimately, a monopoly is always bad for innovation
Yeah.
and for consumers at the end of the day. So, I think that's fine. Apple countersued Epic for breach of contract. The judge ruled in favour of that. And so Epic's got to pay out 30% of the $12.2 million in revenue Epic collected from users in the Fortnite app through direct payment before this injunction came into place. And Epic,
pay them $6 million. So basically, Epic lost...
And Apple lost.
Epic lost the money, but Apple could lose an absolute Apple load of money, basically. An Apple barrel full of money.
So basically, all right, you've got a situation here, right, where no one won.
Yeah, they both lost.
This whole thing, what have we learnt here?
Don't go to court.
Again,
settle out of court.
Well, comes back to what we were saying before. Don't be a dick and ask yourself if you're taking the... And if the answer to either of those is yes, then... perhaps change the way you're doing things.
I wonder if Epic's happier there overall. I mean, it sounds like $6 million's a lot, but they'll make that back on the back end of iOS stuff. And lots of other people will now possibly profit from that as well.
So bear in mind that on iOS and iOS alone, Epic made $12.2 million between August and October.
Yeah.
$6 million, really not worth losing sleep about, I would think.
Yeah, I think they'll be all right with that.
I'd lose sleep over it if it was my money, but if you're Epic, probably not so
But from
much.
the sounds of it, like Apple knew they were losing this one and just dragged their heels on it for as long as possible so they could make as much money as possible in the meantime. So,
Indeed. And the only other bit of news, we're done with exciting legal wranglings and corporate news.
I thought we were going to have a hat trick of legal...
is something that I'm kind of like, well, there's a lie. Apparently, there's a live-action driver TV series in the works.
Of course. Is it going to, hop between different people? Are they doing that bit of the driver series? Or was that...
Well, it's going to focus...
Anyway,
it's going to focus on an undercover agent, an ex-race car driver who's aiming to take down a crime syndicate.
So he's
so good, so generic. That's what I say.
Driver, then.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is it going to have a 70s feel to it, though? That's what I want to know.
I hope so. So anyway, it's going to be released exclusively on a service called Binge. And that's a new streaming platform, apparently, whose aim is to deliver premium content and entertainment for gamers. So there we go. You heard it here first.
Yeah, just so everyone knows, you can't all have a streaming platform, otherwise none of you can have a streaming platform.
Absolutely.
Bad.
I mean, seriously, it's bloody ridiculous.
Yeah, it's quite ridiculous. Just the amount of different services got what we were watching that on, was it Channel 4? Was it Apple TV? Oh,
I know.
I can't even be bothered to find it.
Well, I mean, it's bad enough, and this is perhaps just a middle-aged, middle-class rant. If you find yourself on Netflix, I spend half an hour going, oh, God, there's too much choice. What am I going to watch?
These days, if I don't know what I'm going to watch and I've only got 20, 30 minutes, I'll be like, all right, I'll probably just have a flicking session where I just add things to the list and I'll come back and actually watch something.
A flicking session.
Just,
a flicking session.
Well, especially in my bedroom, I've got my Xbox. So
a flicking session in the bedroom.
Yeah,
my. Your lady friend's a lucky girl. Anyway, we probably ought to go.
Yeah,
we've had enough.
I think that's a sign of
I think that's a sign of us having enough internet for one day.
We didn't get to talk about one thing as well that I was going to add to the agenda. Was just someone is making a Margaret Thatcher-inspired version of Doom, basically, and it looks stupid. We'll hopefully talk about that in a future week, maybe. But yeah, anyway.
She is a terrifying woman.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's...
The Iron Lady.
The Iron Lady. Stealing milk. Shutting down coal mines. Jeez. Wow. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think I don't think neither myself or Tim would ever remotely support the mad policies that Thatcher had, but that's going to be a thing. That game, it's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
I might let you take point on that one, fella. Not gonna lie. There we go. I mean, anyway,
look, we have to push the British angle these days. I don't know if you saw the government wants us the big push on, promotion of content, someone might pick us up. One of the big guys might actually put some money into us then,
Really?
You can't get more British than having UK in your title, can you? Really?
Well, yeah, this is true. Although, yeah.
Might go well.
Well, Tim.
We could unite the kingdom again, Dan.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. We kicked off the Scottish. We got rid of the Scottish bloke.
I mean, he wanted independence.
Book?
He wanted independence, Dan. What can you do?
Well, quite. So anyway, before we go down the road of talking about Brexit and Scottish independence, which is always good for a flame war on the internet, we probably ought to go. So, Tim, any news from Geek Out for Gosh?
No major updates. We'll quickly gloss over it this week, but generally, if you haven't heard on previous weeks, you can help raise money for Great Ormond Street Hospital by streaming and getting people to sponsor you to stream. There are more details on Geek Out for Gosh. That is the number 4 if you're searching on Twitter, or you can go to Great Ormond Street's website, gosh.org, and search Geek Out for Gosh or Geek Out Gosh, and you will find your details. And if you raise £250, you can get yourself an exclusive insert coin, t-shirt, and pin. And if you can't do any of that, you can help sponsor someone else that is possibly as well. So go check that out.
Or just spread the word.
Yeah, or
just spread the word. That's also good too.
That'll be a good thing to do this week. Thank you very much.
Yep. Yeah. So there we go. We are going to gloss over I Have a Question because it's been a bit mad in BRB Towers the past couple of weeks. Normal service will resume there soon, but we always like seeing people appear on the internet. So you should go to www.BigRedBarel.com and you should click on the big old purple link to our Discord because we like hanging out in there and people talk to us and we occasionally talk back. And it's all jolly good fun times. I try and convince people to play Destiny every week. Some people occasionally listen, most don't.
There's a chance I might not be here next week, but we shall see. If I can, I will be. But
and the week after, I'm almost certainly not going to be here. Things are afoot. Not in a bad way.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Things are afoot.
Things are sometimes a leg.
Yes, or a leg end, a bit like Coleman is what a foot is. So you also ought to go to www.twitter.com/BigRedBarel or just @BigRedBarel on Twitter or Facebook.com/BigRedBarel. And you should also, if you have liked this show, we would be most grateful if you could leave us a little review on the podcasting platform of your choice, be it Apple Podcast, Podchaser, Stitcher or Castbox, because that helps us spread the word.
Helps us spread? Oh.
Hey, yes, it does help us spread. Spread like the overindulgences of middle age over the crest of your favourite pair of trousers.
I didn't think you were going there. I thought we were going spread like disease, which probably isn't a good subject at the moment either. On. So, let's not go there either.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, that'll help us spread. Get out more. I don't know.
Don't help us spread. That sounds so bad.
Spread? Doesn't sound bad. What would you what would you prefer then, Tim? What adjective would help? Percolate? Would you like us to percolate
more?
Right. Okay. So.
No, infect's a bad word. No, let's not go with infect either. That's
no. Infect, yes, it is a bad word, Tim. Well done. Congratulations. Glad you worked that out. So anyway, percolate is... Are you happy with percolate?
Help us percolate. We must
help us percolate the internet. So, yeah. All right. We're going to go now. Some combination of me, Tim, and Coleman will be here next week. But until next time, I need to remind you that I have been Dan.
And I might have been Tim, maybe.
Yeah, you have.
Possibly.
And Coleman is being Coleman. Thank you, Coleman, for being Coleman. Coleman put this show together despite not being here.
Yeah, this show I think wouldn't be here without him. No, never mind us. We're just the dancing monkeys.
Yes, thank you. Just because my surname is Gibbons doesn't mean that I enjoy being called that, but thank you.
It means that you don't.
So anyway, your homework, listeners, before we go, is to pop onto our Discord and say thank you to Coleman for being a legend. So, yes. Right, we'll see you soon. We're going to go now. And until next time, dear listeners, toodle bye.
Hawks and poachers are often seen soaring majestically high in the sky.
You and your ears are quite welcome for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to BigRedBarel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarel.com.
If I know Dan, he's doing the same with me, and in his head, he's trying to work out sci-fi golf puns.
Right.
And I think I have one.
Ooh.
Cyberbunk.
Cyberpunk.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Nice.